There is a lot of interest in FinTech. I think there's been a lot of funds who got involved in FinTech. It's a hot topic, obviously, for the last few years. But I would say it is more complicated, it is more costly than normal tech. It's a regulated industry, you need typically a lot more money, you need a lot more additional skills, just a longer runway, and typically it takes just a few years more than, let's say, normal tech.
It is a buzzword that combines several industries that have very little to do with each other, and it does not mean a whole lot to me. It just means to me that underneath you have very interesting sectors like payments or lending or asset management that have opportunities for new companies.
Which FinTech area is most promising?
Between 24 FinTech directions, which we analyze every year in our research Money of the Future, we saw that 8 directions growing faster than others. It is MPS acquiring, online lending, SME lending. For last year, online lending for students as subcategory growing 10 times faster than others. Also everything regarding online remittances.
Digital isn't another channel. It's fundamentally different from what's come before. So the analog products, the things that have been delivered for the last decades in terms of current accounts and savings and loans, just don't work in the new world because you've got real-time, intelligent, contextual connections. So it becomes less of a product and more of a service. I don't think big banks kind of get that.
Well, absolutely the number one difference between a bank and Funding Circle is that a bank lends its money on the balance sheet and we don't. So we have investors that fund our loans.
We are very tech driven, and I think this is the second largest differentiating making factor. Technology to us means a lot. It's not only cost reduction, it's also creating unique selling propositions. It's creating a huge and great customer experience. And I think all in all, this makes the difference.
For me, the most interesting thing that are actually happening in FinTech at the moment are actually in the back office. The companies who are revolutionizing how architecture is put together, how core banking is actually manifested and changed. Putting real big pressure on the traditional suppliers within the ecosystem is a kind of something that really sort of lights my fire, quite frankly. And if you kind of extend this into all of the changes that we're seeing with regards to things like blockchain, then fundamentally we're talking about a different way of banking. This is a revolution from the back office, I think, in terms of what we're seeing over the last maybe the last 2 to 3 years.
Blockchain is a system of record that shows data on a particular asset or a particular person. And unlike a database, a natural database that is centralized, it is a system of record that a lot of actors look at, and they look at that same view of that blockchain.
Well, why it is revolutionary is that because in a world where there's a lot of complexity and documents and parties and you need trust, you can use the blockchain to have in one go the trust on a distributed network.
Blockchain is like TCP/IP of the internet. Nobody really talks about TCP/IP these days, but people use the internet. And I think blockchain will become the same way, something that exists under the hood, but revolutionizes a lot of industry, a lot of processes.